Today I'm taking a look at the new game from Cardboard Alchemy, that is Critter Kitchen. In this game you are playing as these fun little critters, and you are collecting ingredients, assembling dishes, and serving a big 7-course meal to a celebrity chef at the end of the game. If the artwork looks familiar, it's done by the same artist, Sandara Tang, that did Flamecraft. This is the same company too that made Flamecraft. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this one plays, then I'll come back and share with you some of my thoughts on Critter Kitchen. So here we have a game of Critter Kitchen set up and ready to go. This is a worker placement game and also a contract fulfillment game. You're going to be sending out your workers, which are your little chef meeples right here. You've got 3 of them. Everybody has 3 in their particular player color. You're going to send them out to locations on the board to gather ingredients. You're going to use those ingredients to complete challenge meals, which you can see the one for round 1 has been revealed. We need bread, fish, and cheese for this particular challenge. And you're going to serve those challenge meals at the ends of rounds 3 and 6. Then at the end of round 7, you're going to serve a 7-course meal to the celebrity critic that you're playing with in this game, which in this game happens to be the mouse. And the mouse really likes cheese, so you can put more than 1 cheese in your cheese course when you serve that 7-course meal at the end of the game. We'll go over how that works in just a little bit. So you're going to take your workers, send them out to various locations, and like I said, you've got 3 of them. This is the solo modes component set up over here. We're playing against McDonald's. So McDonald's has come to town and they are opening a fast food restaurant and they're trying to put us out of business. We don't want that. So we're going to try to do better than McDonald's in this game, but they also have workers that they'll be sending out, and I'll show you how the solo mode works here in just a second. So you've got your 3 workers, you've got your mouse, you've got your lizard, and you've got your boar. And so with these workers, the mouse is the fastest, obviously. It's the smallest, can only carry 1 item, but it would go in the first spot of any of these particular locations. The lizard can carry 2 items, a little bit slower. The boar can carry 3 items, but boars are big, and so they're very slow, and so they will go last on that particular priority track there. You track that right up here with these little top hats. So right now the solo mode has a starting spot, but if you're ever tied in a particular place, you just, whoever's in front goes, and then you move that one to the back. So I'll go ahead and figure out where I want to place my workers in this particular round. There's 3 different types of tiles or pieces that you can collect here. You've got ingredients, which range in number from 1 to 7. So this is like the highest cheese you could get. It's also the highest wine you could get. You can get spices as well, which are going to double the score of your ingredients. So if you put this spice with this cheese, that now scores 14 points instead of 7. And you've also got rumors. And so those correlate to these cards, which are right up here, which are going to be in-game scoring conditions that will be revealed at the end of the game, but until you get a rumor, you don't know what that scoring condition is. So you could take that token as well, flip over that card and see what that scoring condition is. And again, I'll show you those in just a little bit. So I think to start, I'm going to go ahead and put my mouse here because I really want that 7 cheese or that 7 wine. Those are very good scoring pieces there, those tokens. So I want to make sure I grab at least one of those. I think I will place my lizard right here, and I think I will place my boar down here at the Chef Academy just to show you how that works. You'll see there's no tokens on the Midnight Merchant space. That's kind of like a blind draw. If somebody goes there, you would draw out tokens, and if somebody even doesn't go there, you draw out tokens, then they're able to select tokens from that spot. Also, everything that is not selected, we're going to go in order from left to right, will move down here to the Chef Academy, and so that's kind of the last pick of everything. You also have what are zoo chefs, and zoo chefs are particular chefs that act as an extra worker that you get to use in the next round. So this round zoo chef is Lily the Frog, and so they all have little special abilities on them, and they're all going to be an extra worker. So somebody could pick up the zoo chef there when they go to the Chef Academy as well and use that as one of their 3 things that they can take if the boar is there. So now we'll go ahead and flip over a card for McDonald's, and so McDonald's has these manager cards that are going to tell you what to do with the various workers. We've got 3 stacks of solo cards here. It's a little bit harder to see, but we have a stack for the mouse, a stack for the lizard, and also a stack for the boar. So if your worker placements don't get resolved from this card, you're going to flip over these cards and see what it says to do. So let's go ahead and flip one of these over. It says skip this card if there are any 6+ value ingredients available this round. Where there are 2 7+ value ingredients. So we're going to just set that right down here. So we'll flip over a card for the mouse, and it says send to the location with the highest valued ingredient. Well, that's going to be right here because there are 7s here And so the mouse is unfortunately going to take one of those from us. Now you flip this card over for the lizard. The lizard is going to the Chef Academy. That's easy enough. It goes right there. And now the boar is going to go to the soup truck. It's not last on the priority track, so we're not going to send it to the soup truck. So we're going to use this square down here and see where can we send it where it doesn't have a worker starting from the Chef Academy and going this way. So it's got one there, so it will go to the Midnight Merchant instead, and that'll be the space that it hangs out at and will draw tokens from. So now we're going to go ahead and take our tokens. So we're going to start here. Nobody went to the soup truck this round. Really not a great spot to go to in round one. I'll show you how that works in later rounds after we move some tokens over there. So here, I'm at the Garden Top Shop, and I can pick 2 of these tokens. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and take, these are very good choices here. I think I'll take the carrot that's a value of 5, and I think I'll take this particular rumor. And so you'll put that right there, and then you can reveal that in-game scoring condition that is going to happen at the end of the game. So on this particular card, it is 3 stars if your highest valued ingredient in each course is an odd number. Well, we're off to a good start. We got a 5, and so we want odd numbers to score in that critics course. So you'll just flip that back down. You could keep those, once you reveal them, you could keep them face up in the solo mode because it's just you that you're playing, with the opponent is not going to know what those are. So we've taken ours. We go to the next spot. Well, unfortunately, the solo mode gets to go first, and it's going to use its priority track. So each opponent that you play against has a priority track of actions here on the back. So you can see for day 1, it wants to grab rumors. Well, there's no rumors at that spot. Now it wants the highest numbered ingredient that would fulfill a challenge. So you can see up here, we've got bread, fish, and cheese. So it is going to take the 7 cheese, and you'll just put it on its particular course spot here on the board. Now, it does not serve dishes at the ends of rounds 3 and 6, but what it does is it will place one of these star tokens above any ingredient that it collects that's related to a challenge, and then you can see it up here. This is just one of those tokens. And then at the end of that particular 3rd round and 6th round, it will grab those star tokens and we'll just place them on its board and we'll score those points at the end of the game. So now we go to the Midnight Merchant, and only the solo mode is there. So you'll just draw the 3 tokens out. And so we've got a 3 carrot, a 6, and a 2 mushroom. Now, I should say before we do that, I should have taken my turn here at the dessert vendor. So you'll flip that priority track. You'll take your token. I'm obviously going to take the 7 wine. It's a very high scoring one. It's the only one in the game. So we're going to grab that. Now here at the Midnight Merchant, the solo mode again is looking. Is there a challenge ingredient that it could take? No, not from this first round because it's looking for bread and fish. So then it usually just takes whatever the highest scoring thing is. So in that case, that would be the wine, and then it would take the carrots and also the mushrooms. It gets to take all 3 because it was at that spot. Now we're down here at the Chef Academy, and anything that did not get picked up in that round gets moved down to the Chef Academy. So now these 2 tokens will go down here, and so now the players at this space can decide whatever tokens they want to take. They could take the Zoo Chef if they were going first, and in fact the solo mode would take the Zoo Chef because that's higher up on its priority track. It could also take the two bread because that would be fulfilling a challenge ingredient as well for the challenge meal in this particular round. But it would take both of those in combination because of getting 2 tokens because it's got its lizard there. And then I would take my 3 tokens or whatever was left with the boar. So that's how those spaces work. Then you advance to the next round and just do the same thing again. Any tokens that don't get picked up once they've gone here to the Chef Academy, so say like these 3 are left, they go down here to the soup truck. And then in the next round, you can grab them off the soup truck if you would like. You also can get soup or bisque, which improve the quality of your meal. They can also be used to replace an ingredient. So if we were serving this particular meal and we didn't have bread for some reason, we could put a soup there on one of our plates and serve that up that way. So now let's go down here to round 3 and just kind of show you what happens once you've revealed all these. The last one that you reveal for the last round gets this fork and knife token over the top of it, and it covers the right-hand token because you only have 1 round to get these ingredients, so it makes it only require 2 ingredients instead of 3. So we're just going to pull some things out of the bag here, and I'm going to show you how you kind of serve some of these dishes here with some of the ingredients that we have. So we're going to take maybe we'll take like the cheese here and just a variety of things. Again, you would not do this during the game, obviously, but this is just to show you how this scoring kind of works. So we've gotten to the end of round 3. We need to present some challenge meals. Well, we're going to go ahead and serve them on these dishes. So maybe I would say I'm going to take my 6 bread, maybe my 3 fish, and my 7 cheese, and maybe I'll serve that up. So you add up those points, which in this case would be 9 plus 7, 16. And that's going to determine how many stars you get for that challenge meal. If it's more than 6, you get 1. If it's more than 12, you get 2. If it's more than 21, you get 4. More than 21 is very hard to do unless you add some spice in or get very high quality ingredients. So we would have that meal be one meal. Then we would have the wine and dine challenge. We could put our mushroom there. We could put our wine there because we're trying to now, serve this meal as well. And we don't have any fish left, but we could put a soup there to fulfill that fish requirement. And so that would be worth 10 points and would also get us 2 stars. And then in this meal, with the tokens we have, we can't serve this one. We have carrots, but we don't have any meat. So we wouldn't be able to serve that at this particular point. So that's how the ends of rounds 3 and round 6 works. Then you have these freezer requirements, and you can only keep so many ingredients going into the next round. So you can see here it says 5 max. So that means after you've served stuff and gotten your stars and gotten your points, you now have to decide which 5 things am I going to keep. You see I have 4 right here, so I'm good. But if I had like a couple of soup tokens and a bisque or whatever, more of these tokens, I would have to decide which 5 am I going to keep and what am I going to get rid of. The end of round 6, you get to keep 10 items because you're getting close to serving that critic's meal at the end of the game. So now we'll go ahead and we'll just say we're kind of at the end of the game at this point. We're going to move ahead to round 7. So say we're at the end of round 7 and we've got our critic's meal ready to go. So maybe throughout the game you've been putting these tokens on these slots. You've been getting them ready. You say, okay, I've got all my stuff here. Let me see if I can find a meat token for you just so we can make sure that this is accurate. Okay, so there we go. So we have the 7 courses that we're going to serve. Now, you'll notice from the mouse here that you can, add extra cheese if you had extra cheese to add on to these particular spots here for this scoring. And so what you are also doing is you are competing against in this particular part of the game, you're competing against the solo mode as well based on what it has and what it is going to score. And it's going to go for those high value tokens. So maybe if we dig in the bag here, it has some tokens that are out here and it's going to score as well. So it would normally have all 7 filled in here just because that's what it collects throughout the course of the game. So now we are going to go down the line and we're going to prepare the critic's meal. And so we're looking to see who has the most soup. Well, I only have 1 soup. For the solo mode, you're going to draw a token out. That's not a spice token. And it's a 6. So therefore the solo mode wins that battle on the soup. So it would get a star for that and it would collect that. Then you just go down the line and you'd say who has all 7 courses completed. Well, I do, solo mode doesn't, so I get a star for that. And then you're going to score the best of each course. So you're comparing it with what the solo mode has in terms of numerical value. So you would say, okay, I have a 6 bread, solo mode has a 2 bread. So that's a star for me. I win that course. And then you just keep going down the line. You can see for the carrots, I would win that. For the fish, we're tied. Ties are friendly, so you'd each get a star. For the mushrooms, the solo mode would score more points for that. And for the wine, I would score more points for that. You would also flip these over at this point, and you would see what these other conditions are and what these scoring tokens are. So you would gain stars equal to 2 less than your highest valued carrot served before spice. So that would be 3 stars. And the solo mode will also get stars for those cards as well. In fact, there's a handy little guide here on the back of the instructions that tells you, or sorry, the second to last page, that tells you kind of what to score for those particular cards and those these rumors right here. So these are how they're going to score those rumors at the end of the game in terms of no stars, 1 star, or 2 stars. So that is what you would do at the end of the game. You'd go through and you do your scoring for your courses. And then once you do your scoring for your courses, you have yet another round of scoring that you have to do after you've served your critic meal. And so you're going to flip your board over here. And so you would have this is the backboard here for the scoring, and you get your mouse token, and you go through and you'd count these points up. So you'd say, okay, my bread course was 6 points. My carrots were 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm down here. My cheese was 14. So now I'm over here. My fish was 3 right here. My meat was 5. So you just keep going down the list. You can see here one of our rumor cards at the end of the game is during final scoring double the quality of your wine course. So instead of it being 7, it would be 14. But anyway, whatever star you get to, you're going to collect that many stars on this scoring track. If you go back up to the top, you just get 10 and then continue from there. And so that will be added to your score as well. And then whoever has the most stars at the end of the game wins. So that is how you play Critter Kitchen. Now I'll go back and share with you some of my likes and dislikes for this game. So you've seen how the game plays. Now I'll share with you some of my thoughts for Critter Kitchen. And my first like for this game is just the fact that I think the theme really comes through in this game. This is a game called Critter Kitchen where you're collecting ingredients, you're making dishes, you're trying to impress celebrity chefs and make the best meals that you can make, and all of the things that you're doing throughout the course of the game fit that theme really well. All the places you're going to gather the ingredients. I mean, think about it. That's what a chef has to do. They have to get their ingredients from somewhere, either getting them delivered or going to various merchants and grabbing those ingredients. Then when they get back, they're going to try to figure out a dish to make and assemble those ingredients in the best way possible and use the highest quality stuff. And then the critic's meal at the end of the game as well, when you're trying to impress that celebrity critic, that feels very like Food Network, like some of those cooking competition shows where you're making all of these different courses and presenting them to like a panel of judges, and they decide which one is the best. So I think all of those aspects work really well in the game, and the theme really fits the game well with what they've designed in terms of the mechanisms and what you're doing throughout the course of the game. I also enjoy the worker placement in this game. I love games with variable workers or different workers, and here you have, the 3 different strength workers that you're using: the mouse, the lizard, and the boar. And there's really interesting decisions that you have to think about when you're assigning those workers and you're determining where you want to put them. The boar can carry a lot of items, but he's not very fast. So if you send them to a spot, you're going to go last on that priority track. Whereas the mouse can only carry 1 item, but it's fast. It's a mouse. It's small. Again, the theme coming through and fitting kind of what you're doing throughout the course of the game. So there's a lot to think about there in terms of where do I want to put this particular worker and what ingredients am I really prioritizing. Your boar, you're probably going to place somewhere where you're like, okay, there's 3 really good ingredients here. I don't care which ones I get, or maybe I'll place them at the soup kitchen because I know I'm going to get stuff if I go there, or the Chef Academy or something like that. I also enjoy the Midnight Merchant space. I think it's really cool that one of the spaces you don't know what's out there. So it's a little bit of a gamble. You could go there and you could get really great ingredients, or you could go there and get really, bad ingredients depending on what you draw out of that token bag. So I enjoyed that spot as well. That adds some variety to the board. I also like how the tokens and the ingredients kind of slide throughout the course of the round and the game. So at the end of the round, they go down to the Chef Academy. So that's kind of like a catch-all for everything that's left at the end of that round. And sometimes you can get really good stuff by going there and just kind of waiting and seeing what might be available. Same with the soup kitchen in the next round. You could get the leftovers from the round before and add that to your ingredients that you have. Also, the soup and the bisque, speaking about the soup kitchen, I think is a really clever token in this game. Being able to use soup or bisque to improve your recipe, being able to substitute it for an ingredient if necessary, makes some of those challenges easier to accomplish when you could have one ingredient that is soup or bisque. Now, it's probably not going to score as many points as if you actually had that ingredient available to you, but it's so nice that it is offered as an option and you don't feel completely shut out, and you feel like you can always go get soup if you want to go get it and add it into your dishes so that you can serve those dishes at the end of the rounds. I also think the round structure is a little interesting in this game. I like it, I think, for the most part. I like that you have 3 rounds to collect ingredients and then you serve dishes for those challenges. And then you have 3 more rounds and you collect ingredients and you serve dishes for those challenges. And the whole time throughout the course of the game, one of the most interesting things I think about this game is deciding which ingredients to serve for those challenge meals and which ones you're going to hold back for the critic meal, and who you think you can beat. And in terms of the solo mode, if you think you can beat the solo mode with the quality of your ingredients. That's a really interesting decision point, kind of push-pull throughout the course of the game where you say, oh, I have this really high quality cheese. Do I want to serve it on this challenge meal and maybe get an extra star or 2 stars now? Or do I want to save that for the critic's meal at the end of the game and put it as one of my choices in that 7 courses that I have there and use it during that time of the game to score points in that particular area of the game? So I really like that it forces you to kind of think about those decisions and organize your ingredients in the best way possible. I'll say the freezer aspect is interesting as well. Again, fitting in with like a theme, you can only fit so much stuff in your fridge or your freezer. So at the ends of those 3rd and 6th rounds, you will likely have to discard ingredients if you played the game well and if you've collected a lot up to that point. And that's always a tough choice too, trying to decide what to get rid of, thinking about things that you might not need later in the game. Maybe you discard a spice that you think you may not need or something like that. So that factors in as an interesting gameplay mechanic too. And the spice, I like that as well, being able to improve the quality of ingredients with spices. Just like you would a real dish, you put spices on it, it's probably going to taste better than if you don't season it at all. So the same thing applies here. And so adding those spices in can really create some really powerful dishes and create a lot of points possible if you want to go that route. And also the fact that you can use multiples of the same ingredient for one dish in those challenge dishes. Again, interesting decision. Do I want to use 3 bread here and improve my score, or do I want to save some of that for later rounds or for dishes that I don't know about yet that are going to be coming up? I like the rumors as well, those scoring conditions that are going to come in at the end of the game. And so you have to, it's good if you can learn those throughout the course of the game. You don't have to, but it's going to help you with in-game scoring if you know what some of those conditions are that the celebrity chef is going to judge you on, the celebrity critic's going to judge you on at the end of the game. Really nice variety with these celebrity critics as well. There are so many of them that come in the game and they all do a little bit of a different thing. So depending on which one you play with, I think that it could really add some variety to the game and create some replayability there, because all of them are going to judge that final meal differently. Some of them want specific things or more of one particular item, or let you score an item multiple times or things like that. So that, I really appreciate how many they added in the base game here. Obviously, this is a game that will probably get expansions somewhere down the line and they might add even more. But I like that there's so many in the box just to start with that you really have a lot to choose from and a lot to play with. And they vary in difficulty levels too. Some of them, it's easier to achieve their goals than others. Same with the rumor cards. There's a lot of rumor cards in this game. You will not see all of them until you play a bunch of games. And some of them do kind of relate in terms of categories of like what they're doing with their scoring. But again, it's always nice to have 3 different scoring objectives out there. It makes the game feel different every time that you play it. The locations are nice too. And I'll talk about those a little bit more in my dislikes. That was a like and a dislike, but I do like the various locations and how many are out there for a 2-player game. When you play against the solo mode, it feels right in that aspect in terms of places that you can go to. Also, the solo mode. Let's talk about that a little bit. Well-designed solo mode. I like how you have the main card that you're going to draw, and then you have the 3 decks of cards for the workers that you have, the mouse, the lizard, and the boar. And so if it doesn't get resolved by that first card, you're going to draw a card for each of those workers and place it somewhere. And inevitably, it will go to the same spot that you go to. That's good game design. That's good solo game design in terms of fighting for the same positions that you are fighting for. It's frustrating at times because you're going to put your workers out there and then you're going to flip that solo card over and figure out where the solo mode's workers are going to go. But it really makes for some good gameplay, because there'll be times when on that priority tracker with the little chef's hats, you see, oh, I get to go first this time, so I'm going to go here because I know even if the solo mode goes here, I'm still going to get to go first and get the ingredient that I want. And then obviously switching that back, after whoever is first in priority goes, can create some interesting things later in the round if there's another spot where there's 2 players at, or you and the solo mode are at, and now the priority switches. So priority track is good, solo mode is good. I really appreciate how much content they put in for the solo player. I mean, you have a whole solo player board. You have 4 decks of cards that are just for the solo mode. That's impressive. That really shows me that these designers on this game really wanted to make the solo mode an important aspect of the game and feel like it's not just tacked on. And I feel like they really put a lot of thought and effort into the solo mode for this game, and it's a rewarding solo experience. And one of my final likes with this game is that I feel like this company and the designers, who are different from Flamecraft, while they have set this in kind of the world of Flamecraft with the same art style, have made a more complex game than Flamecraft, and frankly I think a more interesting game than Flamecraft. And Flamecraft was very, very popular and still is very popular when it came out, but this has a little bit more complexity to it and a little bit more going on. And so I appreciated that about this game, that it was a little bit heavier and it did have a little bit more to think about, and there was some more to analyze while you were playing it. Still set in this fun kind of whimsical world with these cool creatures, but the gameplay felt like it ramped up a level. So now let's move on to my dislikes. One of my dislikes with this game is, my main dislike with this is I feel like this game is probably better at higher player counts, just because you have more people fighting for spots. Now, with the locations, this also factors into a dislike. You don't get to use all the locations in a solo game. In fact, you really have to have like a full player count to use every single location that comes in the game, which I think for this game is 5 players, I believe. Yes, 5 players is the max you can play with. So you'd have to play with 5 players to get every location out there on the board. And so it just feels a little limiting at times that you're not getting the full experience of the full game, because again, the thing that makes this game interesting is where is, in this case, a solo mode, or if you're playing against other people, where are those people going to go? One thing I did not show you is that there are location cards, and in a normal game, what you do is you pick 3 locations out from your location card deck, you put them face down in front of you, and then you flip them over and you reveal where you're going to go. That feels like it'd be really interesting in a multiplayer game, because you might have tons of people that are going to the same spot, or maybe nobody went to a spot and you feel like, oh, I kind of stole this one. I get to go get whatever ingredients I want. And so I feel like this game would be better at higher player counts. It would also still play pretty fast at higher player counts. It's not a bad solo game by any means, but I just feel like to get the full experience and to kind of get that around the table like talk of, you know, oh, you went there, or I didn't think you were going to go there, so I decided to go there, and now look, there's 4 of us at that spot. You just don't get that when you're playing solo. Another dislike for this game is the zoo chefs. I felt like the zoo chefs weren't really useful. I never found a good way to use them throughout the course of the game. Their abilities were cool. The fact that they give you an extra worker is interesting, but I didn't find myself taking them that often. I didn't think of that as an option. I always felt like it was better to take ingredients or spices or rumors than to go to the Chef Academy and grab a zoo chef. And the solo mode, same thing. Like the solo mode will take them occasionally, but a lot of the times the solo mode wants ingredients as well over prioritizing a zoo chef. So I just felt like they were an added aspect of this game that, again, weren't really necessary in terms of the solo gameplay, because I didn't really feel like I needed that extra worker. I felt like 3 workers per round was fine. I was able to collect what I needed to collect, and I didn't ever think to really grab the zoo chef throughout the course of the game. Another thing I didn't love about this game is kind of how the scoring works. So it feels kind of clunky and cumbersome at the end of the game when you are serving your 7-course meal to the celebrity critic. You have to go through each ingredient and check versus you versus the solo mode, who had more points. You have to factor in the spices. You have to factor in the solo mode spices. A lot of like basic arithmetic that you're doing while you're doing that scoring. And then once you do that scoring, well, hey, you're still not done. You have to flip your player board over and now score for your various ingredients and get stars that way as well. So it feels like it just takes a while at the end of the game to go through and do all of that scoring and kind of all of that in-game stuff. Now, granted, you've been building up to serving this celebrity critic their meal through the whole game, but it just felt like that process was a little clunky and cumbersome. You have to, count up a lot of things, see who has the most soup, see do I have an ingredient in all 7 courses, who has the highest scoring ingredients. Okay, now we've done that. We've got our stars for all that stuff. We figured out who kind of won those little battles. Now we got to go over, flip this over and count up all those ingredients again and get stars for that. And then sometimes on those rumor cards, there's like in-game scoring things. Some things you do when you're serving the celebrity critic their meal. Some things you do based on ingredients with in-game scoring. So The scoring aspect just felt like a lot when you've played this game. And this is not a very long game. You can play a solo game of this in like 30 to 40 minutes usually. But that scoring part at the end will take you a while to kind of get through serving that critic's meal and then doing that final scoring. In fact, when I played, I was like, okay, it's time to serve the critic's meal now. Let me like prepare for this and make sure I got all my stuff and make sure I'm ready to score for me in the solo mode and all of that stuff throughout the course of the game. But overall, those are kind of all just my dislikes with Critter Kitchen. I think this is a really well-designed game. I think it is a fun solo game. I think if you like cooking competition shows or Food Network shows or any of that type of thing, and you want to feel like you're kind of in a restaurant assembling these meals, I think you will like this game. I'm going to give Critter Kitchen an 8 out of 10. Overall, really well designed, really fun solo experience. Think it would be better at higher player counts, which is why I'm not rating it higher. And again, some of that in-game scoring, which is a little bit clunky, and the zoo chefs I feel like weren't really necessary in this game, at least not at for playing the solo mode. But a really well-designed solo mode, fun solo mode, quick solo mode, and overall a very fun experience. So an 8 out of 10 for Critter Kitchen. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you like this, be sure to like and subscribe. I've got a lot more videos on the channel. We're also getting close to Gen Con, so I'm going to be having more Gen Con videos up as we approach that, coming up at the end of July, beginning of August in Indianapolis. That'll be a lot of fun. I'll be going to Gen Con this year, so can't wait for that as well, but we'll talk about that more coming up in the next couple of months. Until next time, I'm Jared. You've been checking out Specifically Solo.